Hello and welcome to the Restricted Area Podcast, where today we talk the last week of the WNBA regular season and list our top five shooting guards in the NBA coming into the season. As a reminder, you can find the audio version of this podcast on Amazon, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts a day before it hits YouTube, if you all want to check that out. But to get you all started, I'm your host, Alex Perez, joined by producer Colton Smith and co-host Logan Hatfield. How we doing,
What's
fellas?
going on, everybody?
Doing good, doing good. Welcome back, Logan. I was so disappointed that you weren't here for the top five point guards video because I'm sure that would have been fun. But it's okay. We're doing shooting guards today, so I'm sure there can be a Thunder player on the list. At least he's on my list. Spoiler alert. So, yeah, welcome back, Logan. I've been doing good myself, and how have you been though?
I've been good, man. I've been good. Traveling, getting some work done, but I'm back in town for the week. And the next time you see me, I'll probably be back in the Eastern time zone. So that might make some things a little bit easier.
How about that?
Let's go. Yeah, I've just been working as well, so keeping me busy. Finally back in the swing of things, having a productive and consistent schedule. So that's been nice. But we will go ahead and get started here. Let's take a look at the WNBA action as we're getting real close to the playoffs, fellas. We'll take a look at the standings. First, of course, is Minnesota. They're not being caught. Two is Atlanta. Three is Las Vegas. Four is Phoenix. Five is New York. Six is Golden State. Seven is Indiana. Eight is Seattle. Nine is LA, and that is the playoff picture right now. But if you're interested in who's in the competition for the number one pick, number 10 is Washington. 11 is Connecticut. 12th is Chicago, and 13th is still Dallas. So, with that being said, what storyline stood out to us from this week? Logan, I'll let you go first.
Yeah. So specifically speaking about this week, the Atlanta Dream are on fire once again. Winners of four straight. But I feel like I would be remiss to not talk about the Las Vegas Aces. I know it's something that gets brought up week in, week out, but 15 straight wins is ridiculous by any stretch of it. I mean, they are absolutely on fire, playing out of their minds, and Asia Wilson has just absolutely snatched up the MVP. It's kind of crazy how it happened. How for the longest time it was Collier's to lose, and she lost it. So Asia Wilson came in and swooped, making my preseason prediction look a whole lot better. Shout out. But yeah, they're on fire. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is just how good of a job Natalie Nakase has done with the Golden State Valkyries. That preseason win projection compared to where they are now, there's a difference of 15 between those two numbers, and that is absolutely ridiculous. So I gotta give her a shout out. Taking an expansion team to the playoffs like this is absolutely incredible, and I'm excited to see where they go from here.
Cool.
Yeah, that was also my storyline as it has been for the last couple of weeks, but it's just such an easy storyline to talk about. Taking down the Lynx, the very team that beat them by 53 just a month ago and started this whole thing. Asia Wilson led the way that game with 31 points, 8 rebounds. Jackie Young had 20. Chelsea Gray had a double-double of 13 and 10, 10 assists, that is. And they just did their thing, a team effort. Not necessarily that the Lynx look bad. The Aces just look more hungry. They look more fueled and energized. It's one of those things where the Lynx got such a far lead and they got so complacent that I almost wonder maybe they peaked a little too soon. That happens from time to time. We've seen it. We saw it with the Cavs in the regular season of the NBA last year. Looking so well. We see it really every year in sports. The Lions come to mind in football. So the Lynx looked like an unstoppable team throughout the year. We were talking about them as the best WNBA team of all time, potentially. I think they still very well could just make this not amount to anything, but it's something to think about. I see a hungry team in the Aces, a hot team in the Dream who lost to the Aces and since then have routed off 4 straight. It makes me wonder if maybe we kind of got our finals predictions a little too soon, and things are turning for a change here come playoff time.
Indeed. Well, now that you all got the happy stuff out of the way, Let me talk about some downer stuff, and that is the Indiana Fever, who continue to be the unluckiest team in WNBA history. Um, Clinch a playoff spot. They beat the Mystics by a billion, so that was cool. But not going to amount to much because this week it was announced that Chloe Bibby and Caitlin Clark will be out for the rest of the season as well. So there's no hope for any type of uh, competition in these playoffs, whether it be the Aces or the Lynx that the Fever face. It's going to be ugly. Um, but that now makes it Bibby, Clark, Sid Colson, Eric McDonald, and Sophie Cunningham out for the season. Um, yeah, like I said, a team without those players will have to play Minnesota, Atlanta, or Las Vegas. It's going to get ugly. Uh, that should probably be on like Tubi or something. But anyways, um, the thing I did want to talk about, because I did want to have a good storyline for this, is the Valkyries as well. They've clinched the playoff spot in their first year as a franchise, the first ever expansion team to go to the playoffs in WNBA history as an expansion team. So shout out to them. All while their best player, Caleb Thornton, has been out for basically half the season. We thought maybe that's what was their whole success story at the beginning of the season, but turns out it's not. Nakase deserves Coach of the Year, in my opinion. Um, Another point I had on here was they signed Liz Kitley, and I was excited about that, but they waived her today, so never mind about that. But the Valkyries continue to do exciting things. Will they make a big push in the playoffs? Probably not, but you can't really expect that in their first year. They're doing unheard of things in their first year, and that's really just awesome to see.
Makes me more excited for what is to come next year and the years in the future.
Oh, for sure. And then other expansion teams, they set a pretty high precedent there because
Yeah.
they set
Yeah.
this record, the all-time attendance record for maybe ever, but it's definitely at least the first-year team. So impressive work by them, no doubt. I can't wait to see what the other expansion teams do to follow that up. But if there's nothing else, we will go ahead and move on to foul or flop, where we bring our favorite quote of the week and review if it's foul and they have a point, or flop and they're selling baloney. Logan, you want to go first?
Yeah. Since Colton doesn't have them this week, I'm actually going to provide two. My
Okay.
first one comes from the WNBA side of things. It's not a direct quote, but it is just kind of the whole situation that's going on with the Chicago Sky right now. If things couldn't get any worse, they did. Angel Reese was reportedly heard saying that she doesn't believe multiple of her teammates are capable of leading a playoff team, as well as she is not. She is in question of whether Courtney Vandersloot can return to form at the age she's at after tearing her ACL. She was also quoted multiple times saying that we need great players and that the team needs to be coached harder. Is what she's saying necessarily wrong? I'm not going to agree or disagree. However, does that need to be presented and spoken in a different way? Probably. That's pretty bad for team morale when players are having to hear from this from the media and not her herself. So it is, in my opinion, I'm giving it a flop because if you're going to be a leader on a team, you have to take ownership of stuff like this and take this stuff up directly with the players and not in the way that it was kind of formatted here.
Colton, thoughts?
I agree in that it's a flop. I'll say what she said for the most part is valid. It's foul, I guess, but like Logan said, the way it went about being put out and just really the way it was worded, all in all, I would definitely agree. That's a flop.
Yeah, completely agree with you, fellas. Flop in the way she handled it, you take it to management and let them know your disapproval. So maybe they finally do something competent, but foul
Doesn't
and
happen in Chicago too often.
Chicago Sky may be the most incompetent run franchise in all of sports, but definitely the WNBA. They've let WNBA champion after WNBA champion walk out the door. So she has a point, but there's just a different way to do it.
No doubt.
Logan, what's your second one?
The second is a direct quote from Los Angeles Clippers owner Steve Ballmer.
Oh yeah,
Steve
here we
Ballmer
go.
says, and I quote, "We, the Clippers, have abided by the salary cap circumvention rules because that's the right thing to do."
Mm-hmm.
Fellas, are we thinking foul or flop on this?
Colton?
I think it is foul because I was paid by Steve Ballmer to say that, but also because it is the right thing to do, Steve, because you did it right.
Yeah.
I completely agree. That's definitely foul. Those trees came out of nowhere.
Hey, Alex got paid too. Let's go.
They came out of nowhere. This is
Yeah, as long as my bank statements say, I'm getting some payments from Aspiration, which is a totally legitimate company, and is definitely, as not as Steve Ballmer said, a fraud.
KL2,
Yeah, I mean, as long as those bank statements keep hitting,
Aspiration,
and then
KL2,
immediately,
all great companies that we of course
and
know.
then I see this old tweet that
No
says for
support.
every point Kawhi scores tonight, we'll plant a tree or something.
Mm-hmm.
Noticing.
A money tree.
I don't know if y'all clicked on that profile on Twitter, but it wasn't a company. I tell you that.
Doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, it was something. But Tree Man gets paid. That's what I
Yeah.
know.
Yep. Half the time.
Tree man gets paid.
But if I guess I will go with mine now. Mine comes from again somebody who's on a PR heater, Michael Porter Jr.
I should have just looked up Michael Porter Jr. I could have had a quote.
You could have got
To be fair, this one isn't outlandish, but it's something.
quote.
He said the greatest of all time got to be Jokic. He could have won 5 MVPs back to back. Who else could have done that? Okay, he is great. That's a flop for me though. Why? Because LeBron could have. He won four of his. He won his 4 MVPs in 5 years. Did he not win that fifth one because of voter fatigue? Who's to really say? But the all-time leading scorer, who took his team to 8 straight finals and never had a better team except maybe versus OKC that year. Sorry, Logan. But MPJ, like I know Jokic protected you and this PR heater you're on, but come on, man, nobody could have done it. Let's be respectful. It's a flop for me. What do you all say?
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Definite flop for me. I can name a couple of players I think that one could have done that and also are better than Jokic all time for more than one reason. But I think Michael Porter Jr. got traded and then immediately just lost his mind slightly. I guess that's what the transition from Denver to Brooklyn does to someone. But I guess we'll see further what's going on with him. But that's a flop for me. It just doesn't really make all that much sense to me.
Yeah,
Cool.
Stan flop over here. What I'll add is that what I think has happened, MPJ's won a championship. He gets traded to Brooklyn. He comes to the realization he's never sniffing a championship again as long as he's in Brooklyn. So, like, why not make it interesting? Why not bring in the wives, bring in, everything, and just have some fun while he's in Brooklyn? And I respect that.
Yeah, he's something else. I think there was a no podcast clause in his contract in Denver. It had to be because
I had to.
how did we not know this beforehand?
Yeah.
No Twitch stream.
I was within like 50 feet of MPJ, by the way. I was at the state finals. He happened to show up. I don't know. No, his brother definitely wasn't playing. He was just there for whatever reason. And I was like, hey, that guy looks familiar. And he was at Missouri at the time. He wasn't in the NBA yet. And sure enough, that's MPJ.
He should have been eavesdropping. You would have heard something good. I'm
Maybe
sure.
I would have figured it out. Yeah.
All right. Well, that will do it for Foul or Flop for this week, and we will move on to our top 5 list. As this week we are breaking down our top 5 NBA shooting guards, and again we'll start at 5. And go around and go in descending order. So, Logan, who you got for number 5?
Yeah, so I had a bit of a hard time. Some people judge shooting guards different based on who plays what position, but based off of my definition of a shooting guard and who I consider to be shooting guards, my number 5 shooting guard is Alex Caruso. I think that he is the piece of that Thunder team that kind of took them over the edge this year and was that one of those defining factors in the NBA Finals. Just an absolute dog, an all-out scrapper, can guard 1 through 5. We saw that when he was guarding Jokic. And I think that is enough to get him the number 5 spot on my list. Now, is that a bit of a homer pick? Absolutely it is. But he's one of the most fun players to watch and does all the little things right. And you know what? If I see him spotting up for a corner 3 and he's open, it's probably going to go in. So I got to give him his credit here at 5.
As a Pacers fan, I can confirm that statement. Yeah, I did. Honestly, he wasn't in the process for me, but I will absolutely not throw any shade to Alex Caruso at number 5. As usual, I have my honorable mentions. I just like throwing these out there. Tyler Hero, Amen Thompson, somebody that I don't know if he's necessarily going to end up being a shooting guard. He was technically a shooting guard, but that's just the beauty of positionless ball. If he stays as technically a shooting guard, then he could be on this list. It's kind of iffy, but just somebody who I think is going to definitely rise the ranks that I thought I'd mention. And then Derek White, because he's honestly, like Alex Caruso, just a dog. At number 5, though, I have Jalen Williams. Already solidified himself as probably the second best two-way shooting guard, maybe even the best two-way shooting guard in the NBA in just year 3. He has the NBA Finals trophy, as Logan knows. Second best player on that team, and really the X factor of that team. Logan's smiling at it. I can't take this. Maintained his production throughout the playoffs and even raised the level of his game in the finals with 23 points per game, and just being a thorn in my Pacers side throughout that series. It's impressive the level that J-Dub has reached so far, just 3 years in. He's got an all-star game, all-NBA third team, seemingly the Scotty DeShay's MJ, honestly. I don't know if we can start saying that. It was – I don't want to say it, but probably a Thunder dynasty. I'm not saying 3-peat. I'm just saying dynasty. The only thing that I would say in the future would hold him from getting super high on this list is the fact that he is the second best player on the team. That helps him with his efficiency stats and stuff like that, and keeps him at a lower points per game outage and whatnot. So he's not asked to do as much as these other guys are. So naturally, I'm not going to put him above those guys, but like defensively wise, he's maybe the best player on this team, or best player on this list. And I got him in at number 5 with the probability of getting higher by next year.
Logan, your response really quick.
Yeah, I just want to let everyone know, as big of a J-Dub fan as I am, I actually don't consider him to be a shooting guard. I mean, he plays predominantly power forward. So that's kind of where I have him sitting. I have him sitting at the 3 or the 4, just based on how the Thunder usually work those lineups around. But if I was considering him a shooting guard, he'd definitely be on this list, probably a little higher than 5. Yeah, I guess I agree with you on the Derek White thing, though. He's also one of my honorable mentions. Similar player to Alex Caruso in hairstyle and play style.
Oh, well, yeah. Derek White did not make my list because I consider him a point guard, but that may be just me. Kyrie also does not make my list because I consider him a point guard as well. I think everybody does, but I saw him listed online as a shooting guard, and I was like, that doesn't seem right. So he's not on my list here. But anyways, bit of a homer pick for me at number 5. Give me Austin Reeves, an electric scorer. And can go up in the standings if his defense improves, because is that part of his game pretty bad? For sure. But the offense is great. Averaged 20 points per game last season and has shot 37% or better from deep the last 3 seasons. And he's never shot worse than 46% overall. And as much as he is a scorer, he can be an elite passer as well. He can run the point guard position if he needs to. Uh, but he's averaged 5 assists or more the last 2 seasons. So that is really impressive how he has improved in that part of his game as well. So for me, he is number 5. Logan, who you got at number 4?
So at number 4, it's another one. Like I feel like my list is just comprised of players who could be listed as really anything, because Austin Reeves was also on the outside looking in for my list. But my number 4 is Tyler Hero. I think that Tyler Hero doesn't get necessarily the amount of love he deserves for what he does, which is pretty much a new thing every year with the Miami Heat. They kind of just thrust him into a new role every season, and he just goes into it and plays it well. Whether it was being the sixth man, whether it was being the starting, I guess, 1 or 2, it's really depends on how they construct the roster every year, but he does his job and he does it well. And he's been a really consistent piece in Miami when consistency has been hard to find at times. And I think he was showing signs of greatness in the bubble, going toe-to-toe with LeBron in the finals. And then to seeing him like mature and grow into one of the league's premier shooters, one of the league's premier scorers. I think Tyler Hero's legacy is going to be defined as just the guy that did what he was asked and stepped up to the role he needed to. So for that, he gets number 4 on my list.
Colton?
All right, number 4, I got Jaylen Brown, another second option guy, but a really good two-way player. You have the opportunity to shut me up this season because he will be the number 1 option going into this year. That being said, is technically could be considered a small forward. It's just a position. It's like you said, like everybody really has a lot of different hats. So I found it hard to really like narrow down who's a shooting guard, who's not. So I really just went based off of what I looked at lineups and looked at some of the just what Basketball Reference had for me. But this is the only other champion on my list. He has a Finals MVP at that. Also a Eastern Conference Finals MVP. I guess that's something we need to start mentioning in these conversations. But only 1 All-NBA selection in 2023, 4 All-Stars on that. Not a bad resume at the age of 28. We're about to learn a lot about Jaylen Brown, though, this season. It'll be interesting. I wouldn't say there's a lot of pressure for him to win games. I mean, there is because he's at Boston. But for me personally, I don't expect that team to – I expect them to probably be a playoff team just because of how weak the East is. But especially with the moves that were made, getting rid of Porzingis and amongst other things, I don't expect that team to do very well, but I'm very curious what Jaylen Brown looks like as the number 1 option on a team. We've seen it time to time when Tatum's been out, but this is going to be the first full sample size we get of that, and I think it'll be very interesting to follow.
I completely agree. I also have Jaylen Brown at number 4, so I won't repeat a bunch of those things that Colton just said for the sake of time, but I am very excited about how he looks as the first option. Does he play more all-around basketball, or does he just become somebody who tries to just specifically score the ball and maybe go for a scoring championship this year? Those are things I'm looking forward to this season, but he's averaged 20-plus points per game since the bubble and a steal per game since then as well. So he can do it on both sides, and obviously why he's passed Austin Reeves on this list because he can play defense. But anyways, a great rebounder for his position, 5 or more rebounds per game since the bubble as well. So he can pretty much do it all. Maybe a little underrated because of how good Jason Tatum is and the questionable fit that it was for the first couple of years there in Boston. But I think after a championship, there's really no other questions now about how great of a fit he is for this and this team. And I'm excited to see how he goes as the number 1 option. Logan, who you got number 3?
Yeah, number 3. First off, I also want to mention that Jaylen Brown won't be on my list because, like we've kind of said, some of these positions are a bit just kind of toss-ups as to where people play. I consider Jaylen Brown to be a 3, but I can understand why people consider him a 2 as well. He's another one of those guys that plays the fluid game to where it really is positionless. But my number 3 is Donovan Mitchell. I have him sitting at the 3. His regular season numbers, when you look at them, they may not jump right out to you, but The reason I have him number 3 is just the level of elevation that he takes when it gets to the playoffs. He is, I would consider right now in the NBA, this may be crazy, he's the biggest playoff riser in the NBA.
No, I was thinking the same thing.
For sure.
I think that he elevates his game the most already from being a superstar to just an absolute another level the second he hits the playoffs. It's something you're consistently getting even from his days at Utah when he was a rookie, knocking out the OK3. That was a horrible series, by the way, but we didn't need to talk about that. Donovan Mitchell is what is arguably one of the best playoff performers right now, and I'd be willing to say all time. He is one of the most consistent guys who get in the playoffs, and I think his regular season numbers combined with his playoff numbers can get him right here at number 3.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate that his teammates don't really seem to be playoff risers, but he does. So It kind of hurts his legacy there. But anyways, Colton.
Yeah, no doubt. I'll get to that in a little bit, but at first I got Devin Booker at my number 3 spot. You could really interchange 3 or 2 for me, but I went D-Book here. One of the lists I was looking at in this research had him at number 5, which just really, I about fell to my knees. Like, there's nice that he's number 1, I think, on this list, but consistently, that's what we're going for here. And it's just kind of the complete mismanagement that his situation in Phoenix has been, and has put just a real damper on what should be really a Hall of Fame career if he ends up at the right place. In 2023, the last season with Chris Paul, he averaged 27 points per game, shot almost 50% from the field, a season he did not get an All-Star or All-NBA mention. And since Paul has gone elsewhere, he's had to take that point guard role, which has caused him, like, he's a good point guard, but that's not his natural position. He's getting better at it. He got better at it, but it's just not something that he needs to do. And I have him at shooting guard because he's listed at shooting guard. He played more shooting guard because they got Tyus Jones. Jones, right? Tyus Jones last season. So thankfully he got back into that role. But, I mean, it still has just damaged his reputation. Like I said, the mismanagement of his time in Phoenix, and hopefully not too much longer time. But and just combined with the bag of chips that's been around him with KD and eventually Bradley Beal, which he's some of the bag of chips, to be honest. But they're kind of expected to win because you got D-Book, you got KD on the same team, but in reality, they really have no business winning. And all I will end on is #FreeBook.
Real. Well, I also have the Kentucky Wildcat Devin Booker at number 3. One of the best scorers in the league, 4-time All-Star, all in a row, by the way. Very impressive. Hard to do. 2-time All-NBA, as Colton mentioned, should be more. 3-point champion. And, he's just the youngest Phoenix Sun to score 70 points in a game. So that's kind of impressive, too.
Solid.
He's averaged 25-plus points per game since 2018. Not known as a passer, but as Colton talked about, has had to do that. Averaged 5-plus assists 6 times in his career. So for somebody who only shoots the ball, he passes it pretty well.
No kidding.
My only gripe is, and I guess, Colton, you make a good point, this could be things that are around him and Phoenix organization really just being terrible. But I feel Devin Booker hasn't really impacted winning in that much of a way. They've made it to the finals, but I really credit a lot of that to Chris Paul and the way DeAndre Ayton was playing just as much as Devin Booker. He deserves a mention for sure in that season, but I just don't feel like he's impacted winning as much as the people I have above him, and that's why he's at number 3 instead of number 2 for me.
That's fair.
So, Logan, who you got at number 2?
Well, my number 2 is actually the guy that you guys just spent that time talking about. I have it as Devin Booker. And what I want to talk about is the tragedy that has just become the career of Devin Booker. Like you said, he's one of the best scorers in the NBA, super consistent year in and year out, despite what Matt Ishbia throws at him every single year now. Roster, new construction, new game plan every single year. Like, he just spent the last few years trying to adjust to having KD, and then they throw Bradley Beal in the mix. Now they're both gone, and he has to adjust to his backcourt mate being Jalen Green. So It's been something new every single year, and he has taken it in stride and not complained and just went out there and hooped. And I think what speaks to that the most is his performance at the Olympic Games in 2024, when he was on the Olympic team. And they needed some players to step up and do the dirty work. And he knew that on a team with LeBron, Steph Curry, and KD, he wasn't going to be the primary scorer on that team. So he went up there and he did all the dirty work over there in Paris. And he really was the unsung hero of that Olympic team. I'll die on that hill. And without him, I think that gold medal game gets a lot harder. So Devin Booker, I'm always going to give him his flowers. He's one of my favorite players of all time, but I think that NBA history won't be looking at him too fondly in his legacy just because of the disrespect that has been given to him. Not enough All-Stars, not enough All-NBAs, and not a good team built around him. And that I don't think that's his fault. And I really do hope he gets out of Phoenix one day and gets into a situation that can help him impact winning, because he can't do it all by himself. If you get him the right roster construction, I think Devin Booker could be a focal point on a championship team.
And Devin Booker's been disrespected since college, but that could be a whole other rant for another day.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that was a really great point on the Olympics, Logan. You look at the difference between Tatum's Olympic experience, which is what we're doing right now, sitting, and the experience of Devin Booker, and that comes a lot about the mentality and just letting the pride and the ego aside and focusing on winning. And he's tried to do that. Unfortunately, the people around him, the organization around him, largely has not shared that sentiment. But I'll go ahead and go to my number 2, which is Donovan Mitchell. Like I said, you can swap Mitchell and Booker. I have no quarrel with that. But Mitchell is just one of those players that, like, I remember his time in Louisville, and then it's come up early in the NBA, and it's just crazy that, like, how good he is, how he is, the best playoff riser in the NBA right now, and definitely an all-time playoff riser. And he's on the best player on the best team in the East last season, which was still not like that impressive to be the best team in the East, but it was somewhat impressive. There was other teams that were decent. But he saw a dip in his counting stats that year. Like you said, they didn't jump out of the page. Then we get to the playoffs, and his team flopped around him, as they have every playoffs he's been in. However, he jumped to 29.6 points per game and also snagging 2 steals per contest throughout the 10 games he played. He might be and like I said, I put this in my notes, but yeah, I said he's probably the best playoff riser in the league. And it just is unfortunate that the team around him seems to have the opposite effect when it comes to playoff time, regardless of where he is at. But still, he was a top 5 in MVP voting for the second time in his career. He was that finalist, all NBA first team to go along with his second team in 2023. He's also got his 6th All-Star selection last year. One of my favorite players to watch, especially when he takes over a game. No better feeling in the world to watch him do that. And I just wish there was some way he could get some more playoff success, because it's not necessarily that the organizations aren't putting good teams around him like D Book, but it is getting to a point where, I mean, D Book even has more to show than Donovan Mitchell in terms of playoffs. But it's pretty easy to say that Donovan Mitchell is a much better playoff performer than that of D Book. So, but all he has to show for it is a semifinals. Like, I don't think he's ever made it to a conference finals, because that one year they collapsed against the Clippers of all teams. So, yet to make a conference finals, and one of the best playoff performers of all time. It's just a really weird dynamic. That's not Mitchell's fault, but something that in 10 years I definitely would see, if he's not able to flip it around, could be a talking point over his legacy.
Completely agree. My number 2 is also Donovan Mitchell. Again, they are interchangeable, really. The 2018 dunk champion, and made the all-rookie team that same year. So a pretty impressive introduction to the league there.
Pretty solid.
He scored 71, so I guess another reason that he edged out Booker here. And he also doesn't say no.
Just by 1 point.
He also doesn't say no double team in a pickup basketball. But anyways, he impacts winning, made the Jazz and the Cavs relevant, especially post LeBron. something that was very difficult to do. Many tried and many failed. Averaged 24 plus points per game and every year, but his rookie year, where he had a decent, I guess, 21. Again, another great introduction to the league. Uh, he shot at least 30% from three. Uh, 33% from three his whole career, and 4 assists per game and 4 rebounds per game at least every year. Most years it's way above that, but those have been his floors, and that just speaks to kind of impact he makes both in the regular season and the playoffs. So he's number 2 for me. Logan, who do you have at your number 1?
My number one shooting guard in the league. I feel like this is should be a fairly consensus pick is Anthony Edwards. He is a player whose ceiling seems limitless at the moment, unless you are talking about his 3-point shooting in the Western Conference Finals. But and you have the best defense, arguably ever, guarding you. That would be a pretty tough task for anyone. But my thing with Anthony Edwards is he just consistently gets better as a scorer every year and is establishing himself as a top-tier shooter in the NBA, and he will be for years to come. And he is not afraid to pull up from three. He is going to, 8-9 times a game, and he's going to nail it at a pretty solid clip. So he's already established himself as a scorer and a shooter. Now, the only thing that's really lacking from his game is becoming a lockdown defender. And if he can do that, like the sky is literally the limit for Anthony Edwards and what he can become. I see a lot of all NBAs in this man's future, and I see a lot of all-stars, and I probably an MVP or two somewhere along down the line if his teams can, get a little bit more wins in the regular season, because apparently that matters so much. But Anthony Edwards gets the number one spot for me, and I think it's going to be this way for a while.
Cool.
Yeah, number one for me is actually Aaron Nesmith. No, I'm just playing. Anthony Edwards. To your point, Logan, he took 4 more threes a game last season than he did the year prior, and saw an increase by 4% in his shooting. That's unheard of, really. He also shot nearly 40% from three last year, despite taking that leap in attempts. And he averaged 28 points a game accordingly, which was 2%, or not 2%, but 2 points higher than the year prior. So I think he has another gear in him. I think we might be looking at a 30 points per game season from Anthony Edwards this year, because he's established himself as one of the best 3-point shooters in the league. And we already know he's good at getting to the basket. So now if he just puts those together, I mean, he could be literally the most unguardable player. I mean, he already is one of the most, but he literally could become the most unguardable player in the NBA if he can kind of combine those. That's the only thing. When I watched him this year, it was like all threes. I think he literally attempted the same amount of threes as twos. I think you should have a healthy diet of both, and that's what could really make him. And if he does that, I think he averages 30 points a game. I think he becomes an MVP candidate. His team's got to win more games, so I think they will if he does that. And yeah, I think he can absolutely take another step. To your point on his defense, I think there's no doubt he can become a elite defender. He's got the tools. He's got everything to do that. But it's a matter of him becoming that. And it's going to take learning. It's going to take effort. I think that's a lot of it sometimes. And if he can do that and become that, yeah, MVPs for sure will be in his future. And I don't know about championships, because seeing the Minnesota Timberwolves win a championship seems weird, but I think Anthony Edwards could be the guy to absolutely make that happen. So best shooting guard in the league, and I think he still has way more ceiling to go, honestly.
Yeah, I think you could make an argument of who is a shooting guard, who isn't, or who may be in the top 5, but I don't think there's any argument that Anthony Edwards is number 1. He tops my list as well. Number 1 pick in 2020, all rookie team that year as well. So he's delivered. Obviously not a bust. Leading scorer on the 2023 FIBA World Cup team, and an Olympic gold medalist with the 2024 team, and took the Timberwolves to their first Western Conference Finals in 20 years. So you could say he impacts winning just a little bit. Not to mention elite actor, hustle, masterpiece. Masterpiece. But seriously, he just seems to have that killer instinct that puts him at the top of this list, where he looks at guys across the court, like I don't know, Kevin Durant and Nikola Jokic, and basically says, "I'm better than you, and I'm going to prove I'm better than you," and did it in that crazy playoff run that they had. So, uh, just that killer instinct is something that I feel like he has much more of than any of these guys on the list, to where it's just supreme confidence that he's going to be the best guy on the floor night in and night out, and he'll let you know about it too. I love a good trash talker, especially when they can back it up. So that honestly helps him make it to the top of my list.
I would also argue he's probably the only one on the list, maybe Mitchell, but you can make an argument that he's really the only one that's a pure shooting guard, right? Like, sure, he
Mm-hmm.
can pass the ball a bit, but he's not nowhere close to a point guard. So I would say he's really like maybe the last pure shooting guard that is at this level. Like he definitely reminds me of like Dwayne Wade kind of levels of scoring. Better 3-pointer though.
For sure. All right, well, that will do it for our list of our top 5 shooting guards. And we will now move on to our WNBA Pick'em, where we pick our winners of the biggest games of the week. And fellas, let me tell you, it's a big week. So the first game I got for you is Golden State at Seattle. Let me first mention that if the Sparks go perfect this week, this could be the difference between Seattle making the playoffs and not making it. So if you all want to consider that. Again, Golden State at Seattle. Logan, who you got?
Going with Golden State. I know I talked about them earlier, but I feel like I gotta ride the wave here. I'm looking at some of these odds right now, and they have Seattle as a 6.5 point favorite. Oh man, I think that's kind of disrespectful to the Valkyries. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the Valkyries on this one.
Golden.
Yeah, that is actually surprising that they're that big of a favorite. I am going to go with the favorite though. I'm going to pick Seattle here. Still trying to confirm their spot in the playoffs, so I think they're going to come with more urgency. And the Valkyries maybe come with a little bit less, having their spot confirmed. So yeah, give me the Storm here.
I kind of want to see the Sparks in the playoffs, so might be cheering for Golden State a little bit in this one, and that's why I picked them in this one. But they've also won 5 of the last 6 games. Uh, they have some great momentum going on right now, and Seattle seems to be going the wrong direction at the end of the season. So uh, give me Golden State in this one. And then the second one I have, again, if LA goes perfect this week, they might make the playoffs. Still need some help from Seattle, as I mentioned. But the other game I have is Las Vegas at Los Angeles on Thursday, 10 p.m. on WNBA TV. So, Colton, who you got in that one?
I think the Aces will play spoiler here. Start hard to go against a team that's won 14 straight. At that point could be 15 straight. I think the Sparks and Kelsey Plum will miss the playoffs thanks to the Aces winning their final game.
Logan.
That winning streak's coming to an end.
Oh,
Give me the Sparks. You'll hear why in my shooting star of the week.
okay.
I love it. You're telling me Asia Wilson gets a chance to keep Kelsey Plum, former teammate, out of the playoffs? Yeah, give me the Aces by a billion. Want the Sparks in the playoffs, but with these situations, I don't see it happening. They got a tough week coming up. So we will now move on to our shooting star, where we pick our baller of the week. Logan, that tease was too good, so I want to hear who you got.
Mm-hmm.
Derricka Hamby. She
Mm.
is on fire right now, and I think she's going to be the driving force behind a win against the Aces. Over her last week, she's been averaging 22 and 9, and she has been putting up great numbers, and I only expect that to continue. And should they get into the playoffs, I think she's going to be making some noise.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Natasha Heidemann of the Minnesota Lynx. Had 22 in that game against the Aces and has averaged 22 points over the last 3 games. She averaged 8 points a game, or is averaging 8 points a game at this point over the season, but has got some more minutes here in the last couple of games this season and is taking full advantage. 20 points, 22, and 24 in the last 3 game stretch.
I just think it's funny that I usually go with WNBA people, and the week that everybody's going with it, I wanted to go with Natalie Nakase, but she deserves Coach of the Year once again. But my shooting star is Pablo Torres, who found out the greatest information I may have ever heard in NBA history. Shout out KL2, shout out Aspiration. I love what the Clippers are doing over there, and I am so glad that the Lakers avoided that headache, if I'm being completely honest with you at this point.
Alex,
So
a punishment I was hearing is that they might have to take away all the rings that the Clippers won while Kawhi was on the team.
yikes.
Oh, no way.
He might actually have to play all the games.
They take away the Intuit Dome. They just pick it up and
He
move it down
is
to
the
Seattle.
GOAT in terms of making money without doing work.
For sure, I need that job.
Yeah, for real.
They're taking away the fan wall into a dome.
No.
They're taking away the jumbotron that shoots t-shirts. Um, anyways, that will do it, I guess, for this episode of the Restricted Area Podcast. Thanks to Colton and Logan for being on the show. As always, be sure to follow the Restricted Area YouTube at CX Restricted Area. Follow us on socials at CX Pod Network. You can follow me on Twitter at The Wheel Deal and Colton at Coach_45. That's 3 T's, people. Be sure to get those T's in there. Logan, tell the people where they can find you.
Logan H_ on whatever socials you may find.
All right. Well, thanks again, everyone, for listening and watching. And until next week, be smooth.